Welcome back to Insight Builder channel, Python learners, data leaders, and SQL learners. Mastering Postgres, setup to data modeling. This is the second video of the Postgres database installation and setup in the EC2 instance. And we will be looking at changing certain settings in the EC2 instance and Postgres database server inside that instance. And then we will move the data from the Kaggle notebook to the Postgres DB that is running inside your notebook, inside your EC2 instance. So let us begin without further ado. Let us go to the Internet Explorer where you already have the instance that is running. So this is the instance that was that we created in the last video. The instance is still running, and now we know how to connect. So if you click on this connect, you will get the SSH client, and once you get the SSH client, you can come back here to the terminal and you can do a SSH to this machine. So I am going to do a SSH now using this particular command that is provided by the AWS cloud services, and I am going to press enter. So we will be able to connect to the instance. So we are inside the database, inside the Ubuntu Linux instance. Next, what you are going to do is, I'm going to clear the screen. Next is the important point. We are going to change certain settings. Two file settings we need to change. Okay. So first and foremost, you have to have some knowledge of Y editor or Vim editor. Okay. This is going to be another one surprise that, okay, most of the Linux users itself don't try to use Vim because it's very challenging editor. However, believe me, once you get a hang of it, you will use it everywhere. Okay. So let me try to introduce you to the power of Vim using this using the settings file. Okay, but still, if you are not comfortable, then you can always connect to the Ubuntu Linux server through SSH by using the remote desktop. If you are using what is that called? If you are using Windows, then you can do apt install xrdp, okay, or you can do type pnc. Okay, both of these things will help you to connect to this Ubuntu Linux server from your Windows user interface, okay, or from your own Linux user interface also, and give you a graphical user interface. You understand what I'm trying to say? The graphical user interface, like let me show in a second. So the graphical user interface like this. So there will be Windows, there will be other things that comes into picture. However, the terminal is the best place to manage all the settings, configuration files, etc. Okay. So I'm not going to install anything. I'm directly going into the configuration management. So first and foremost, the configuration file that I want to manage is inside the etc. Just a minute. Oops, sorry. So etc PostgreSQL and slash and 14 and slash main. And here what we need to do is, if you do a double tap on your keyboard, the tab key, if you press twice, it will list all the files and folders inside this main folder. Okay, first we need to edit the pg_hpa.conf file. Okay, just open that file. I am already opening it with Vim, and there is one more point that I want to show you now. Okay, once I open this, it will say that okay, permission denied. You see this? Because this is a very important file, so it will not let you to open it. So in Vim, what you need to do is, once you get a situation like this, you have to press escape and press colon, and colon, it will create a colon here. Okay, and then press Q and press exclamation mark. That is how you exit out of Vim. So colon Q exclamation mark, you will exit out of Vim. Next, what you do is you say sudo su. So you become the super user now. Now again, what we are going to do is, we are going to say Vim, we are going to say etc PostgreSQL 14 main, and this time no one can stop. Okay, then now if you see, it will open the file for you. So what we need to do in this file is we have to come scroll down, down. You have to scroll down fully down, and here in this area you have to edit. Okay, so how am I moving here? You saw that I was moving up and down, but if you tried using the arrow mark, okay, it will work, but it will not work the way you want. So what happens in case of Vim is, in order to move up, down, left and right, you have to use JK, L and just a minute, H. So you have to use this. So this is a very tricky way of moving stuff. Okay, in order to insert, you have to use I. So once I press key I, you will see that it moves into insert. So I am in insert mode and I am using delete right now. Okay, so once I click on delete, it will start deleting. Click on the delete key, it will start deleting. Now I am going to enter the 0000. Okay, now I'm going to press escape again. Okay, and I am going to move. After I move behind 2, then I press insert again and I press backspace and I press 0. So this is how I edit. And when I do it with, and I am actually not using mouse or anything, right? I am using everything using the keyboard only. And I am not using, sorry. So there are shortcut keys that can delete the entire keyword, entire word. So the shortcut key is DW. So if I do DW, it will delete the entire word. So like you are seeing here. And then I press enter and I come here and I say MD5. Okay, after this, I do an escape, I do a colon and I say WQ. So I am writing this change and I press enter. Now that HBA underscore conf dot HBA underscore PG underscore HBA dot conf file has been modified. Next file we need to modify is, we need to modify this file, postgresql.conf. This is a fairly simple modification that we need to do. It is very similar to the firewall that we gave, right? But in this case, I'm still opening in Vim. I'm going to search. So to search, you have to press the slash key. You see the slash key here. You have to press this slash key and you have to say localhost. The moment I press local, it will go, the Vim editor will take me to local host wherever it is in the first time. After I locate it, press enter. Okay, and then press, I have to move. I have to remove the hash from the starting of the line. So it becomes like, it becomes bright, and after that I move back again and I remove the L, localhost, and make it a star. What this means is I am telling that any host outside the outside this local host can connect to this server. That is what I am telling by this configuration change, and I am going to save it. Okay, now I have saved it. I am going to exit. Never be in the root always. Okay, that is not acceptable. It will be questioned by your seniors and also by your team members. Never be in the root. Okay, it is not acceptable. Most of the time you will not have root access also, but in case if you have root access, then don't be in the root. Next, the point we need to do here is that we need to restart the server. Then only the settings that we made changes, right, that will get enabled. So how to do that? So you can do sudo system ctl. This is the command we need to use, and we say restart PostgreSQL. Okay, so if you do this, it will restart the PostgreSQL service. So if this does not restart the PostgreSQL service and let us connect, then we have to restart the entire server. Okay, now what we are going to do is, we can actually check the status also. So first and foremost, you can use systemctl and we can check the status. You can say status and PostgreSQL. Okay, you should see that, see, starting PostgreSQL, finish PostgreSQL, RDBMS, it should be like this. It is active. Okay, and this should all be enabled. Okay, this is how you check the status. If you want to stop the service, you have to come here. Instead of status, you have to say stop. It will stop the service. So here, status. Okay, and now I am going to, okay, this, you see the difference here. This is my mission. Okay, and this is AWS machine. Okay, so let me show you. This might be confusing in the beginning when you are watching my video. So this is Ubuntu. I am doing who am I, and you see Ubuntu here, and in the bottom area, this area, if I do a who am I, you will see solver bot. So this is my machine. This is my local machine. Okay. So I am going to use PSQL. I'm going to connect to the database from outside. So I am outside the AWS environment, right? I am in the internet right now. So I am located somewhere, and I'm trying to connect with the AWS EC2 instance, which is located somewhere in United States. Okay, I'm going to use localhost, and I'm going to use the host name that was provided to me. EC. Yeah, this is the host name, but this is the host, and the user that I'm going to use is Postgres, and the password, the database will be Postgres only, and the password I will enter 1 2 3 4. Okay, and now I should be able to connect. You see that now I am connecting from solver bot to this host, to the database server directly. So this is how you connect to the database, and now you can do everything. So now I don't need to SSH. So for an example, I exit. Okay, I'm sorry, just a minute. Yeah, sorry for that, guys. So if I press exit, so it will come out of the EC2 instance. So I am in solver bot right now. So if I do who am I, if you do who am I, you see this solver bot again. So this is no longer Ubuntu, but I am still able to connect to the database server. So this is how the settings that we made to the PostgreSQL server has been correctly fixed. So now you can be rest assured that you can connect from the internet. What we are going to do next is going to be much more interesting. Okay, ready for that, guys? What we are going to do is we are going to go to the Internet Explorer, and we are going to go to Kaggle. Kaggle is one of the favorite haunt for data scientists. Okay, you can do a lot of things related to data science with Kaggle notebooks. However, I am going to do data engineering. Okay, so let me show you. Excuse me. Let me show you how. So you see this particular. Okay, I can share you in different way. Okay, this particular link will be provided to you in the YouTube this video's description. Just click that link. It is already shared with everybody. Okay, and once you open it, if you don't have a Kaggle account, do open a Kaggle account. There is no any kind of credit card required or anything. Just open the Kaggle account. Okay, it is one of the best places to get a lot and lots of data. Okay, that too for in a very easy, intuitive fashion. So let me show you how. So let me edit this and let me go into the Kaggle notebook environment. So this is a kind of a Jupyter notebook environment, but this is available in the cloud directly. Okay, in the cloud, this is provided. This kind of notebooks are provided by Kaggle for free, so that you can work with the data and do lots of analysis, do research, enter into competition. It's a huge ecosystem. So I will be, if you guys want me to explain about this ecosystem, I will be doing that. Do leave a comment in the comment section. If you open this notebook, first and foremost, you see that whatever activity that I did in the EC2 instance, right, that I have put it here also. I have mentioned that what changes you need to make. Let me zoom in a bit. Yeah, I hope that now you'll be able to see. So whatever changes needs to be made in the HBAconf file, in the host file, I have given you the details here. Okay. Only come to this notebook after you are able to connect to the database server from your terminal or your command prompt. Okay. Or else that notebook that I'm going to share right now will not be useful at all. Okay. Once you connect to the command line terminal like this and get the database access, create a new database. Okay, so create database, and I am going to say, why I am creating this is, I will tell you, new DB. Okay, the reason why I am creating this is that the next step I am going to take, I am going to push the data into this database server, right? And I don't want to push it onto the Postgres database. That is for a specific purpose only. You should not use it for our regular tutorial activities. and then connect to new DB and ensure that you are able to connect it. So it will ask for the password, you give 1234 and it will connect to the DB. So now it is in DB and you will list the tables relations. You will see that there is no any relation. So like this should be the situation. Okay. And then get back to the Kaggle environment. And what this notebook is going to do, I will give you an overview. What this notebook is going to do is, this notebook has access to a series of data. If you, let me show you. So if you click this arrow mark, it will actually open up a tab, open up a section. In this section at the top, you will see data. In the bottom, you will see notebook options and various other things. Okay, in the notebook options, ensure that, just a minute, ensure that this is on. In case if it is off for you, ensure that this is on. If it is off, then we cannot connect to the internet and we cannot push the data to our database that is inside the AWS EC2 instance. It will not happen. Okay, ensure that. And then in the data, what you are going to do is, there is this data set backups. Inside this data set backups, we have clean_Airbnb_data. We are going to push all the CSV files. These files are already cleaned. Okay, if it is not clean, then there will be additional challenges when you push it to the database. Okay, so these files are already clean and it is kept here for you to experiment. Okay, and we are going to push all these files. So this file is 151 MB. This is, calendar is almost 173 MB. And let us click one of these files and you will see that it gives the details, what is there inside the file. Okay, and this is how you actually work with the Kaggle environment. So this is the basics that I wanted to show you. Okay, in order to run the Kaggle notebook, you have to click on this cell. This gray area is called as a Jupyter Notebook cell. Click on this cell and you can press this play button, or as of now, don't worry about what is going on. What are the commands that I am used here? I will explain to you once I execute it. Okay, first I want to show you the steps that is going on. So I'm going to execute it. I'll be using the shortcut key, Control Enter, and the second it will take a little time. It will say session is starting, and you'll see that here the draft session will start. And once the session has started, right, so it will start pulling the data. So you see that this data is all getting downloaded into this notebook environment. This notebook environment, Kaggle notebook environment, is actually a Docker environment. After this series of SQL, I'm back. So this file is all getting downloaded to this Kaggle environment, that is Docker environment I was telling. As I was, I was cut in the middle. I am planning to take a separate series of videos on Docker environment also. So there I will be also covering the necessary details of Docker. So now the session has started. You will see that HDD, let me zoom in a bit, probably you can see better. Oh, this area, you can see this, the CPU, the RAM, everything comes up, and how much amount of RAM is getting used, you can see all these things. Okay, so let me reset back, reset. And now what I am doing is that first cell has got executed. Okay, this particular file, this particular environment already has got NumPy, Pandas, warnings, all these libraries are installed, so you don't need to install anything. Okay, and we are also not going to use we are not going to use psycopg2 binary here. We are not going to use this library. Okay, you see this cell, this is the place you need to change your database name. Okay, the database name that you are using is newdb, right? So you need to change it to newdb like this. And next is you need to change the host name. This is the earlier host name that I was testing. So the new one is this one. Okay, so you have to remove the old one. Like this, you have to remove the old one. So whatever, so when you are actually trying to use this notebook, you can actually create a fork of this notebook. So there will be an option to fork the notebook. So let me show you that also. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So this particular notebook that you are seeing here, so this is actually taken from the courses. If you click on learn, then you will get this series of course. So there will be 7 courses. So at the top here, if you when you actually look at my notebook, you will see that you will get this option, copy and edit notebook. So you need to click this and then you will be able to edit it like how I am edited, how I am working right now. That is how you need to do. And then you need to edit the host name, edit the database name. The Postgres is same, the password is same, the port is same, and this is also same. You don't need to change anything. Just execute this by clicking on this play button. So this will change. So you see that this is the setup we want. This output should come for you. I'm not going to install this. You also don't need to install this. Don't execute this cell. This is not required for now, but let it be there. This is required in the future. So let it be there in this notebook. Next is execute this cell. What is happening here is that it is reading all the CSV files through Pandas library. If you are new to Python and if you are learning Python, then I would suggest that visit to the playlist. In the playlist, I have a complete list of Python ecosystem libraries. So one of the main library is Pandas. So I explained about how to use Pandas in this 2 videos. So you can take a look at this. You will get fair amount of idea about Pandas. So let us go back to the presentation. So here I am going to execute this. What will happen is this will see when I execute this cell, like clicking this play button, it will take the calendar, it will take the listing.csv, and it will start assigning the values to the respective Python variables here. And now you can look at their the tables. So if you click neighborhoods.head command, if you give it 5, then it will open the top 5 rows. So if I say, for an example, if I say neighborhoods.tail, and if I say 5, it will show me the last 5 rows. So this is 0 to 4 and this is 17 to 21. And similarly, now what we are going to do is we are immediately going to push this table into our database. So let me go to the terminal once again. Okay. So I hope you are able to see this terminal, and let me actually do one thing. Okay, I will do that. So in the terminal, you see that inside the new database, I don't have any relation. Okay. So sometimes what will happen is because of we are keeping it idle, right? The connection might get reset. So don't worry about that. You will get the connection back because the server is running there. We have not switched off the instance, right? So let us do the table again, and you'll see that there is no relation. But come back here, and if I execute this cell, so if I click this cell, okay, what is this error? Why am I getting this error? So sometimes what happens is it is saying no module name psychopg2. Okay, why is this error coming? I already explained that we don't need to use psychopg2, right? What happens is, even though I am not going to use this particular function of psychopg2, but I need to have the psychopg2 installed in the Python environment for connecting with the Postgres database. Okay, so execute this file, and then once this file execution is completed, then once the cell execution is completed, you will see that it is installed and psychopg2 binary is done. Okay, and if you and then execute this file. The reason why I wanted not you to execute is that I wanted to show you the error, what will happen. Okay, now come here and then execute it. Now it will be able to push it. So now you see there is no error. Okay, now come back to the terminal, and you will see that there is a data table. Okay, and you do a select star from neighborhood. Okay. Okay, use limit. That is very important. What I'm doing here is that I am using select keyword. And I am using star. Star means all the columns. Select all the columns star from neighborhood table, this table, and I'm going to limit the number of rows to 5. Okay, and I'm going to enter. Just give me a moment. And then you will see all the data has come out, and you will see all this white space here. This is actually null. That is why it is saying it is giving a white space. Actually, it has the null inside that. So that is how it represents. Let us go back to Internet Explorer, we have pushed the first table. Now pushing the next table is also very simple. And you see this, I have something called as if exists equal to replace. So what this means? What this means is that if the neighborhood table is already existing, then it will replace it. Okay. So this is required because in the Google Kaggle environment, Jupyter Notebook environment, it becomes a task to, if you can actually come here and you can click on run all, and it will run all the cell. Okay. At that time, if this neighborhood table is already existing, this particular command will fail. Okay. So that is why I've given this. Next is what I'm doing. I'm going to push listings.sql. Okay. So please keep one thing in mind. I am having a 1 GB RAM server. So this particular server that we are connecting is a 1 GB RAM server. Okay. So even nowadays laptops don't come at 1 GB. So, but this server is a very basic EC2 instance I am having. And if I overload it, if I send a lot of data to this, it will actually slow down. It will not crash, it will slow down. Okay, it will handle the data, but it will take a lot of time. So we need to understand this before we push the data. So how to know that we are not pushing a lot of data? In case of pandas, what you can do is you can actually use something called as shape. The shape will give us the number of rows and number of columns inside the particular data frame. So this listings, this is called as a data frame. Okay, I am expecting that you have basics of pandas knowledge. If not, do take the other video, take a look at it. It's just 1 hour course. You will get a lot of information. Okay, and it will be much more easier for you to work here. Okay, and then I'm going to, so 20,000 rows is okay. So it will work. I'm going to push it. Okay, so it will work and it will push it. And next, after this, it will take a little time. You will see that it is taking time. And let us see, yeah, it is done. So let us go back to the, I actually don't need to go back to the terminal. Okay. After I do all this pushing, all the table pushing, I have an easier way where I can use these functions. Okay. And I can query the database from inside the Kaggle notebook. I don't actually need to go out at all. So let me show you how. So anyway, I will be pushing all these tables in a moment. I will show you. Just execute these functions. Okay. And what we are going to do is we are going to query from here. We are going to query the listings. Listings is the table. So let me go back to the terminal once. Okay. And I am going to do a /d, and you'll see that there is new table called as listings. Okay. Just in case when you are facing when you are actually pushing tables like this, and if your Kaggle notebook closed or something happened to the internet connectivity got crashed, so you want to redo the activity, you have to come here and do drop table and say neighborhood. Okay, that will drop the table. Then you can actually restart the process. Okay, keep this in mind. So you have to always do that when something crashes, goes wrong. Now I am not going to do the same way I did select star neighborhood limit 5, right? I am not going to do it from here. I will do it from the notebook, the Kaggle notebook. So first of all, what these functions are doing. So this function will first generate. So you see this comment. So this function will generate the schema. So you might be wondering, okay, what is a schema? Okay, what is the table? So I am actually talking everything about database server as if you know everything. However, don't worry about it. We will go into the details of each and everything once we complete pushing the data. This is very unorthodox way of teaching SQL. Why I am doing this is because that you need to have something first to start learning. But if I go on give you theory only, it will not make sense. After sometimes I lost interest in SQL because of that in the beginning. But now I have got a fair share of, I got a very good tutor who explained me in the way I am explaining right now. But he explained me from the terminal only. But I am going through the way of programming, connecting Python, connecting the Jupyter and Kaggle notebooks to the Postgres. So this is little more advanced than that. This will give the schema generation from the data frame. this will get the schema from the database. Okay, this will get the schema from the data frame. So these data frames I showed you, right? So this will get the schema from these data frames. But get schema will get the data schema from the databases. Okay, and query base, this is what we want. We want to query the database. Okay, there are two. Okay, this is wrong actually. Just a minute. Sorry. Query return. So this should be query return. I had made a mistake, so I will correct it. So what I need to do is I have to use this function query return, and I am going to send the query. So query return, and I am going to send the query select star from the same query, SQL query, from listings. The listings should be small. Listings limit, yeah, always limit 5. Again, as I was telling, we are using a very limited resource database server, just 1 GB. If you ask for a lot of data, then it will crash, it will stop. Okay, so be very careful about this. And this way of working with least amount of resource lets you to learn a lot more than you will regularly learn. Okay, now I am going to execute this. You will see that it takes time and it returns the data. I am using this function and it returns this data. So take this query from here. Take a look at this. ID is 2818, host ID is 3159, Daniel. This is the first row. So we are going to take this query here from here, and we are going to go to the terminal. Okay, let us go to the terminal, and we are going to execute the same thing here. Ensure that you give a semicolon whenever you are doing the querying from the terminal, and you will see it is the same. 2818, the quiet garden, first name is Daniel, 3159. So the from here also, from the Kaggle notebook also, you can query. So this is the benefit of working with the Python and the Jupyter Kaggle environment. Okay, this is what I was trying to explain in the beginning. So this is a complete setup how I am doing, and now we have pushed 2 tables. I actually want to explain. So rest of the tables we can push it the same way. However, when it comes to the calendar table, what happens is the calendar table is very large. Okay, it is around 7.3 million. 7.3 million. This is 20K, but this is 7.3 million rows, and it will actually stop in the middle. So it is very difficult to send such a huge data to a very small server that you are having. Okay, this is just a 1 GB server. So it will be very difficult. That I have already tested it. It takes a lot of time. So what is the solution? The solution is that we use pandas and Python concepts, and we segregate this very big. Okay, let me show you. So this is having 7.3 million. So first and foremost, I'm using the lock method. So in pandas data frame, there is a lock method. I'm using that, and I am first selecting only the 100,000 row, 0 to 100,000 rows. So this, you see this, there is only 100,001 row. So whenever I select 0, there will be 1 extra also. So 0 is considered as 1 row. Then you can see this, the head is 01, the tail is 9999, 100,000. Okay, the same way the next part. So like this, we are going to separate it as each 100 rows. Okay, this starts at 101 and it will end at 200,000. So I will be pushing it separately. Okay, step by step. So when I do that, when I push this first one, it will take little time, but it will go through. Okay, I will show it to you right now. Because when you execute it, you will also execute this, but after you execute this, yeah, this is completed. Okay, now if I go back to the terminal, and if I /d, if I do /d, you will see calendar table has been created. But this table, if I use count, you see I am actually teaching you SQL right now by using the examples. Okay, and a very difficult challenge also. calendar. If I use this, if I say select count star calendar, okay, that is a mistake. So I have to say from calendar. So select count star from calendar, you will see that it is 1001 row. But let us go back to the terminal again. I also told you that it is 7.3 million, but where are the rest of the rows? So rest of the rows are still yet to be pushed in. So what we are going to do is we are going to use Python programming to cut this very large data into small data. Okay, we are going to manually cut it. This, where is it? Very large data into small data, and we are going to push it step by step. So this particular command will do that, and it will take at least I have timed it. It takes around 20 minutes of time. Okay, because the server is small. Why take so much time? The point here is that you have to, okay, you might be new to Python, okay, you might be new to SQL also, but these are the types of problems you will face once you get into actual production environment. The production environment, the customer environment will be huge, okay, and there you will have to work on more difficult challenges. This is actually an easy challenge. So you will have to work on more difficult challenges, and you need to understand these basic logics. And this has nothing to do with mathematics. Okay, this is basically, I am telling that I have this much, I have 7.3 million rows. I want to divide it into chunks of 100,000 rows. How many rows will come? And based on that rows, so I will execute this particular, yeah. So I am dividing the data into 100,000, and I am dividing 7.3 million by 100,000, and I am creating this function for index in range, and then I am executing this. You see that it is creating the start range and end range directly. So this is what I am going to execute inside here. Here you saw that it was doing it without any reading of the data. It was not reading the data. It was not cutting the data frame. So like how I was cutting it here, it was not cutting it. But in this, when I execute this, when you execute this cell, when everything is, when your tables are getting pushed properly, when you execute, okay, one more important point. Yeah, before you execute this cell, come back to the terminal and ensure that you drop the calendar table. So you say drop table calendar. It has to be dropped. And then you come to Internet Explorer again back, and then you start executing this. So I'm going to execute this, and it will start processing step by step. Okay, so this has started to process the first part of the calendar. Yeah, it has completed. So it has pushed this data. So come back to the terminal here, and if you come here and do a select again, so you'll see select count, you'll see there is 100,000 rows only. Okay, but in a moment, let us go back to the Internet Explorer. So now there are three parts. So let us go back to the terminal again and let us execute this. You'll see there is 300,000. So slowly the data will start flowing. You remember the analogy that I was telling, that making the data flow, that is what data engineers do. This is what is called as making the data flow. And the way you make it flow is all in your hands. So if I want to make all the columns selected and flow, you can do that. If you want only to take listing ID and date to be moved to the database, you can. If you know pandas, you can do that also. That is, this entire notebook will do that only. Okay, so it will first start by pushing. So next it will start. You can start by pushing the listings. I will do this all offline. Okay, this will take little time. Okay, let it go on. In the meantime, once all the database is getting pushed, ensure that you execute these functions, and then you can experiment with these commands here. So basically these functions are getting the schema from the database table itself. Since my database is right now busy, and this particular notebook is busy, so this is running right now. So I cannot execute any other query here. Okay. if you come scroll down, so I would have actually told the next step that we are going to do. We are going to start our data modeling task. That is our next step. Okay, we are going to do all this with the data that we have pushed into the table. But before that, we need to query. We need to ensure that the tables that we have pushed into our database is as per our existing data. So this part of the notebook is querying the database. So I'll be changing this function. This should be written. I had made a mistake when I had created it. So I'll be changing this. When you execute this, it will be proper. And once that is done, once you have understood all these things, in the next video, we will go through the data modeling aspect of the database, data modeling aspect of this data. So that will be really fun. Okay. Now let us go back to the presentation again. So where we are. So we actually went through this entire process. We got the Ubuntu instance ready, installed. We already had installed it. And in the last video we had installed it. We changed the settings. Let us go back to Internet Explorer for a moment. If you go up, you can see the settings that needs to be changed. So this settings we changed in the Postgres database server, and then we connected from our local command prompt terminal and worked with the database, and then we connected this Kaggle environment, Kaggle notebook to our Postgres database server, and using this command here. So you need to ensure that the appropriate host name, appropriate table, appropriate database name is given. So if you are using different password and user, you will not be changing the user, but if you are using a different password, change that also. I'm actually showing all these things out because the instance that I'm using will anyway be closed, so this will not anyway work. And you need to install PsychoPG2 binary. That is what we covered in this video. So I again insist that you practice. So this time you have a lot more things to practice. You have got the tables with you right now. So once that all the tables got completely pushed into the database, you have got a lot of table to do. So first of all, go back to this notebook. So if you come down here, there are series of columns here, right? There are series of queries here. So take these queries. Okay, take these queries, don't copy them. Okay, take these queries and type it in the terminal. Type it in the terminal and try to see the output, how the output is coming. Do it in the terminal. Why I am actually insisting that you need to do it in the terminal is that then only you will understand what is going on. If you just execute it, because I am executing it here to save time, but if you execute it in the same way, then you will not understand the basics. So, and most importantly, you will not make any mistakes. If you don't make any mistakes, you will not learn. So that is the first and foremost rule. Make a lot of mistakes. That is why you created a platform for yourself, so that you will make mistakes and you will learn. If something goes wrong, then you will correct it. If you have any issues, you can always connect to me over the comment and I will try to help you out. This is more important, that you make mistakes. And how will you make mistakes? Until unless you have to do it by yourself. So take these, start taking these queries from listing this query 0 to all these queries. I know it looks big, but once you start typing, once you get used to it, there are lots of queries. Try this out and see how the output comes. In the next video, we will go through these queries first, and then we will start modeling the star schema out of this data set. And in the process, it will be at least two to three splitted videos. It will have considerable amount of data in that. So we will understand a lot of things about the table creation, how the columns are created, how the references are created. So we will learn a lot in a short span of 1.5 to 2 hours. So the way I am introducing not just SQL, even if you look at my other ecosystem, the way I introduce the programming language is always about the problems and the challenges that it solves. Okay, the problem that we are solving here is that we have to move the data from one particular server to another particular server, another location. So what is the server location here? So the server location is this. So this is inside the Kaggle data warehouse. I'm taking these files and I'm moving into EC2 instance warehouse, AWS warehouse, right? Or EC2 instance inside the AWS cloud. So all this is getting done because I can understand how you can understand right now that how Kaggle and Jupyter Notebook environment works, how Python works. And then, yeah, you see this is already going in. If you go to the terminal, if you do a check right now, you will see, just a moment, it's attempting to reset. That doesn't matter. So still it will be working. So that is almost 4.4 million rows have been written. And you saw the difference. I was talking all this time, and still the program is running. This is the benefit of programming. So once you do the basic setup, once you understand the basics of it, you can actually master it, and you can do multiple things at the same time and ensure that you understand it properly, because when things are doing by itself, you should set it up properly. So that is the overall goal, guys. So to master in such a way that you can do multiple things with the computer, database server, the ecosystem, and then support the end users, the stakeholders, and the customer finally, and provide service. So there are 73 parts and almost 50 parts are completed. It has been 10 minutes, not 10 minutes, it would have been 5 minutes. So yeah, it is going on, it will be done. So go back to the presentation, guys. Practice, guys. So take that notebook, take a fork of that notebook and copy that details and push the data to your database and do the activity. And let us start the data modeling in the next video, and stay tuned for that. Till then, as I always say, practice, 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 practice. See you guys. Have a great time.